The twin moons of Zirian glowed softly over the alien forest, casting long shadows between the twisted, glowing trees. Alien girl Lira moved carefully among the giant ferns, her senses alert to every sound. She knew the hunters were near, but tonight she had a secret that could change everything. Her younger sister Mara followed quietly a few steps behind. Unaware of the plan Lira had whispered to the hunters earlier. Lira's heart beat fast as she thought about what she had said. "I'm way tastier than her," she had whispered with a strange smile. Her eyes never meeting Mara's, Mara had not heard the words at first. But when they reached the small clearing near the glowing river, she saw Lira speaking softly to two cloaked figures, their strange, glimmering armor reflecting the moonlight. Mara's eyes widened, her heart pounding. She could not believe what she had just seen. The hunters were known across the galaxy for their skill and their ruthlessness, and yet Lira had chosen to whisper secrets to them. Mara felt a mix of fear and curiosity. She stepped closer but kept hidden behind a large blue rock, the glowing moss making her almost invisible. Lira moved gracefully, her alien skin shimmering in the moonlight. She spoke in the softest voice, almost like a song, and Mara realized that every word carried weight. Every gesture was calculated. The hunters listened intently, nodding slightly as if they understood more than they should. Mara's mind raced. She wondered why her sister would say such a thing. Was Lira trying to protect her, or was there a darker plan behind the words? The forest was quiet, but the silence felt heavy, as if the trees themselves were holding their breath. Suddenly a soft rustle came from the bushes nearby, and Mara froze, her heart skipped a beat. She thought the hunters had noticed her, but it was only a small, glowing creature hopping from branch to branch. Its translucent wings sparkled like tiny diamonds, but Mara did not smile. She could not. Not with what she had overheard. Lira's whisper came again, even softer this time. "They will choose me, not her." Mara felt a chill run through her body. The words were simple, but they carried danger. She realized that her sister's secret was not just a game. It could cost lives, maybe even their own. The hunters took a step forward, their eyes glowing faintly behind their helmets. One of them spoke in a language Mara did not understand, but Lira nodded, responding with the same soft, confident tone. Mara wanted to call out, to warn her sister, but fear held her back. She thought of their childhood, the times they had played in the glowing forests, chasing each other around the bioluminescent trees. Those memories made the moment even harder. Mara could not imagine betrayal between sisters, yet here it was, whispering like a shadow between them. Lira turned slightly as if sensing someone watching. Mara held her breath. She felt invisible, but her heart screamed with worry. She noticed how calm Lira seemed, almost too calm, her every move deliberate. Mara wondered if her sister had always been like this, hiding intentions behind smiles and soft words. The hunters began to move toward the edge of the clearing, their cloaks brushing against the glowing plants. Lira stepped forward, guiding them silently. Her eyes flicked toward Mara for a brief moment, and Mara felt a strange mixture of relief and dread. The sister she had known seemed distant, almost like a stranger. Suddenly, the river shimmered with a strange green light, and Mara saw small fish-like creatures leaping from the water, their bodies glowing in vibrant colors. She almost forgot to breathe. The beauty of the forest was hypnotic, but she could not let herself be distracted. Not with the hunters and the secret so close. Lira paused at the riverbank, kneeling slightly to adjust the hunter's gear. Mara used this moment to step back, her mind racing with questions. Why had Lira chosen this path? What would the hunters do with the secret she had whispered? Would they follow through, or was this part of a bigger plan she could not see? As the hunters disappeared into the dense forest, Lira stood tall, her head held high. Mara watched her sister's figure fade into the shadows, a storm of emotions inside her, fear, anger, confusion, and curiosity all mixing together. She knew that this night would change everything. The bond between the sisters, the danger in the forest, and the fate of those who walked among the glowing trees. Mara clenched her fists, her eyes never leaving the path where Lira had gone. She whispered to herself, almost as a promise, "I will protect us, no matter what, even if it meant facing the hunters, even if it meant confronting her own sister." The forest seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the next move. The next secret, the next danger, and somewhere deep inside, Mara knew this was only the beginning. The forbidden whisper had set events into motion, and nothing would ever be the same again. The forest of Zirian seemed quieter than usual that night. As if it knew the danger creeping through the trees, Mara moved carefully, following the faint tracks left by the hunters and her sister. Each step made her heart beat faster, but she could not turn back now. She thought about Lira's whisper, the words echoing in her mind. "I'm way tastier than her." The meaning was cruel and strange, but Mara sensed there was more to it than just words. Something hidden, something dangerous, something that could change everything. The hunters had vanished into the shadows, but Mara knew they were still close. Their faint footsteps blended with the rustling leaves, making it almost impossible to tell where they were. Yet Mara felt a presence guiding her, an instinct she could not ignore. Lira was always careful, too careful, Mara realized. The hunters trusted her, but Mara could see the tension in her sister's movements. Every glance, every whispered word seemed to be part of a plan she did not yet understand. Mara crouched behind a giant mushroom glowing softly in the dark. She watched as Lira paused and turned toward the hunters, speaking quietly, her hands moving in subtle gestures Mara could not understand. The hunters nodded and moved ahead, following her lead. Unaware that someone was silently watching, Mara's mind raced with questions. She remembered the old stories their parents had told them about hunters, creatures from another galaxy who could sense fear, greed, and lies. She wondered if Lira was using those tales as a warning or as a trap. Suddenly, a branch snapped behind Mara, and she froze. Her eyes darted toward the sound, expecting a hunter, but it was only a small glowing lizard, its eyes like tiny lanterns. She exhaled slowly, but the tension did not leave her body. It was everywhere, in the shadows, in the whispers of the wind, in Lira's soft, controlled voice. Mara decided she needed to know more. She could not just watch. She moved closer, keeping to the shadows, and saw Lira kneel near a strange device hidden among the ferns. Its surface shimmered, showing faint images that flickered like memories. Lira touched the device gently, and the images changed, showing maps, hunters, and strange symbols Mara had never seen. Mara realized then that Lira was planning something much bigger than a simple whisper. It was a scheme, a secret only she could understand. The hunters were only pieces in a game, and Mara wondered what role she herself would play. As she stepped closer, trying to see the device better, a small gust of wind carried her scent toward Lira. Mara froze, expecting her sister to notice, but Lira continued as if nothing was wrong, her focus unbroken. Mara's curiosity and fear battled inside her. Which was stronger? Which could guide her safely through the danger ahead? Suddenly, a hunter's voice echoed softly. Almost like a whisper, Mara jumped and ducked, hiding behind a glowing bush. "Do you think she knows?" the voice asked, the hunter's tone low and cautious. Lira responded with calm certainty. "She sees little, she guesses less. Leave her be for now." Mara's heart skipped a beat, the hunter's words confirming her worst fears. Lira was manipulating everything, including her. Mara felt anger rise, but she knew she could not act rashly. She had to understand the full plan before she could intervene. The forest seemed to lean closer, listening to her thoughts, as if waiting for her to make a choice. Hours passed as Mara followed silently, watching Lira whisper and gesture to the hunters, giving them hints guiding their path through the alien forest. Every moment felt like a trap, but every moment also revealed more of the scheme. Mara began to understand that Lira's words about being tastier were not about food, but about something far more dangerous, something the hunters desired. Mara's mind raced with strategies. She could warn Lira, she could stop the hunters, or she could play along. But she knew one wrong move could destroy them all. The forest around her was alive with glowing plants, strange creatures watching from the shadows, and the distant hum of the hunters' weapons, creating a tension so thick it pressed against her chest. Finally, Lira paused near a narrow canyon, pointing to the hunters where to wait. Mara's eyes widened as she saw a trap being set. The hunters were not just searching, they were preparing to capture the one Lira had whispered about. The plan was more cruel than Mara had imagined, and now she understood the truth. Lira's words were a lure, and Mara's sister had placed herself at the center of a dangerous game. Mara took a deep breath, her mind made up. She would follow carefully. She would stay hidden, and she would find a way to protect them both. Even if it meant confronting the hunters, even if it meant confronting Lira herself. The night stretched on, the forest glowing and alive, and Mara knew that secrets, schemes, and danger were only beginning. The hunters waited. The trap was ready, and somewhere Lira smiled softly, confident that her plan would work. But Mara, hidden in the shadows, was ready to challenge the schemes, ready to act, and ready to discover the truth behind the forbidden whisper. The moon hung low over the alien forest, its light casting eerie shadows that twisted between the glowing trees. Mara moved silently, her eyes fixed on Lira and the hunters ahead. She felt a shiver run down her spine, knowing the trap was closer than ever. The hunters were careful now, their movements precise, almost too precise. Their armor glimmered faintly in the moonlight, and their eyes, glowing behind their helmets, seemed to scan everything. Mara realized they were not just ordinary hunters. They were cunning, patient, and dangerous. Lira led them toward a narrow canyon where strange, sharp rocks jutted from the glowing ground. The canyon walls shimmered faintly with alien light, and a low hum vibrated through the air. Mara crouched behind a rock, heart pounding, realizing that every step her sister took was part of a larger plan. Suddenly, one of the hunters stopped and pointed toward a glowing bush. Lira leaned closer, whispering words Mara could not understand. The hunter nodded and moved forward, but the ground beneath him gave a strange tremor. Mara held her breath, sensing the trap in motion. The canyon was filled with strange alien devices, hidden among rocks and glowing plants. Mara's eyes widened as she realized that the hunters were walking straight into a carefully crafted maze, and Lira was guiding them, every gesture and word leading them deeper into danger. But something felt off. Mara noticed it immediately. There were shadows moving among the rocks that the hunters had not seen. Creatures with long limbs and sharp glowing eyes, watching, waiting, ready to strike. Mara wondered if Lira knew about them, or if the hunters were about to become prey themselves. Suddenly, a loud click echoed through the canyon, and one hunter froze. The ground beneath him opened slightly, revealing a trap hidden by the glowing moss. The hunter stumbled but did not fall. Lira stepped forward calmly, whispering instructions, her confidence unwavering. Mara realized her sister had anticipated every move. Mara felt a surge of fear and admiration at the same time. Lira's plan was brilliant but risky. One wrong step, one wrong word, and everything could collapse. She inched closer, trying to see how the traps worked, her mind racing with ways to help without being noticed. Then a voice hissed from behind, low and threatening. "Who's there?" Mara froze, her body pressed against the rock, but a small glowing creature darted past her, distracting the hunters. Lira used the moment perfectly, signaling them to continue deeper into the canyon. Mara realized that even small creatures were part of the game, allies of the forest, or perhaps part of Lira's plan. The hunters reached a clearing where a strange device floated above the ground, its surface shimmering with colors Mara had never seen. Lira approached it slowly, whispering words that seemed to make the device glow brighter. The hunters stepped forward, drawn by the light, unaware of the danger waiting for them. Mara's heart raced as she saw the truth. The device was not just a trap. It was a test, a dangerous game designed to measure courage, loyalty, and cleverness. Lira's whisper about being tastier was a part of this test, and now the hunters were about to prove themselves, or fail spectacularly. Suddenly, the device emitted a bright pulse, and the canyon shook. Rocks tumbled and the glowing walls shifted. Mara had to cling to the side to keep from falling. The hunters stumbled, panic flashing in their eyes, but Lira moved with calm precision, guiding them through the shifting maze. Mara realized that Lira's plan required not just cunning, but courage beyond measure. The tension was unbearable. Mara could hardly breathe. Each second felt like a lifetime, and every move could mean life or death. She saw hunters fall into minor traps, scrambling to get out, and Lira helping them, her eyes sharp, her whispers soft but commanding. It was a dangerous game, and Mara could see the stakes clearly now. Then a shadow flickered across the device, and a deep hum filled the canyon. Mara froze, realizing this was the most dangerous part of the plan. Something alive, something powerful, had been awakened by the hunters. Lira did not flinch. But Mara's heart pounded. She realized that the forbidden whisper had led them here, and now everything depended on quick thinking and trust. As the shadow moved closer, the hunters backed away, unsure, but Lira stepped forward, fearless, whispering words that seemed to calm the pulse of the device. Mara watched, amazed, as the hunters followed her instructions without question, unaware that the danger was far greater than they imagined. Mara knew then that this was the turning point, the moment that would define who was clever, who was brave, and who would survive. The forest itself seemed to lean closer, watching the dangerous game unfold, and Mara realized that every secret, every scheme, every whispered word had led to this moment. And somewhere deep in the canyon, the shadow waited. The pulse of the device grew stronger, and Mara felt a chill, knowing that the most dangerous part of the game had just begun. The canyon was alive with shadows and glowing light, the pulse from the strange device humming like a heartbeat. Mara crouched behind a jagged rock, her eyes fixed on her sister Lira. She had never seen Lira move with such confidence, yet Mara could feel the tension in every step. The hunters had slowed, their fear barely hidden behind their glowing helmets. They were trapped in a game they did not understand, and yet they continued, drawn forward by Lira's soft whispers. Mara's heart raced, knowing that one wrong move could ruin everything. Suddenly Lira stopped, turning her gaze directly toward Mara's hiding spot. Mara froze, her body pressed to the rock, fear and guilt colliding inside her. She had followed her sister, watched her manipulate the hunters, and now it seemed she had been caught. Lira's eyes were sharp but calm, her voice low as she called softly, "Mara, come out, I know you are there." Mara hesitated, but something in her sister's tone told her it was safe. For now, slowly she stepped into the light, revealing herself. Her hands trembling slightly. The hunters noticed immediately, their attention snapping to Mara, but Lira raised a hand, signaling them to stay. Mara's heart pounded as she approached, unsure whether her sister would embrace her or scold her for spying. Lira's lips curved into a small, almost sad smile. "I knew you would follow," she whispered, her voice soft but full of meaning. Mara took a deep breath. "Why are you doing this, Lira? Why whisper to the hunters like that?" Lira's eyes flickered with a strange emotion, a mix of mischief, fear, and determination. "It's not what it seems," she said. "I need them to believe one thing, so we can survive another." Mara frowned, still unsure if she could trust her sister. But she could feel the danger around them, the hunters watching, the device humming, the shadows moving. "We can't just play their game, Lira," Mara whispered. "Someone could get hurt. Maybe both of us." Lira stepped closer, lowering her voice. "I know, Mara. That's why you must trust me." Her words were firm yet gentle. "If we act now, we can turn the hunters' plan against them, but we must act together." Mara could see the seriousness in her sister's eyes, the kind of seriousness that left no room for argument. The hunters were growing restless, shifting from foot to foot, sensing the tension. Mara noticed that one of them raised a glowing weapon slightly, and Lira's hand shot out in a subtle motion, signaling the hunters to wait. Her control over the situation was extraordinary, and Mara realized just how clever her sister really was. Mara swallowed hard, her mind racing. "If we do this, we have to be perfect, Lira, or we will fail." Lira nodded. "I know, Mara, and that is why I need you. I can guide the hunters, but you must act when the time comes." The sisters exchanged a look that said more than words could, a mix of trust, fear, and determination. Mara realized that their bond, though tested, was stronger than ever. They were about to face the hunters. The device and the shadows together united as sisters, not rivals. Suddenly, the device pulsed brighter, and a shadow flickered across the canyon walls. Closer this time. Mara's pulse quickened. Lira whispered softly, almost to herself, "This is the moment, we must act now." Mara nodded, gripping a small glowing vine she had picked up earlier, ready to assist her sister in whatever plan had been devised. The hunters advanced, unaware of the trap waiting for them. Mara and Lira moved in perfect sync, the tension crackling like electricity. Mara could feel the danger brushing past her, the forest holding its breath, waiting for what would come next. Then, in a sudden move, Lira signaled to Mara, and together they triggered the hidden mechanisms in the canyon. The device glowed fiercely, creating blinding light. The hunters stumbled and shouted, caught off guard. The shadows surged forward to surround them. Mara and Lira acted swiftly, her sister guiding every step with calm precision. The confrontation reached its peak, the hunters trapped, the forest alive with glowing chaos, and Mara felt an overwhelming mix of fear and exhilaration. She had followed her sister, doubted her, and now was part of the dangerous game, understanding the meaning behind the forbidden whisper. As the dust settled, the hunters pinned down and the device stabilized. Mara looked at Lira, her eyes wide. "We did it. Together," she whispered. Lira smiled faintly, exhaustion and relief crossing her face. "Yes, together, Mara, but this is only the beginning. The real challenges are yet to come." The sisters stood side by side, the glowing forest around them humming softly, the hunters trapped, the shadows watching, and Mara realized that trust, courage, and cleverness were the only weapons they had. The dangerous game had tested them and they had survived. But the true battle was far from over, and somewhere deep in the canyon, hidden in darkness, a new threat waited, unseen but not forgotten. Mara shivered, knowing that the next move, the next secret, and the next confrontation were already being written in the shadows. The glowing canyon was quiet now, but the air still trembled with tension. Mara and Lira stood side by side, their breaths shallow, the hunters pinned and trapped by the clever mechanisms they had never seen coming. Mara's mind raced, wondering if the danger had truly passed. Lira looked at her sister, her eyes softening slightly, yet still alert. "We've survived this game, Mara, but we are not free yet," she whispered, the seriousness in her voice making Mara's pulse quicken. The sisters had faced the hunters, the traps, and the shadows, yet the forest itself seemed to hold more secrets, waiting to test them again. Suddenly, the device pulsed once more, brighter than ever before, its light flickering in strange patterns. The hunters shouted in alarm, their weapons useless against the glowing cage of energy surrounding them. Mara realized the device was alive, responding not just to Lira's whispers but to something else, something intelligent, something aware. A shadow moved at the edge of the clearing, faster than any creature Mara had ever seen. Its form shifting like smoke, the hunters stumbled back in terror, and Mara felt her heart hammer. "Lira." "What is that?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Lira's eyes narrowed, a faint smile forming. "It's not what you think, Mara. The hunters believed they were the hunters, but in truth, they were the prey." She stepped closer to the shadow, her hands raised, whispering words in a language Mara could not understand. Yet the shadow seemed to respond, slowing, folding its dark shape into the light. Mara watched in awe, realizing that the forest, the devices, the traps, and even the hunters had all been part of a test, a challenge far greater than mere survival. Lira had known all along, guiding the hunters into their lesson, while protecting them both. Mara felt a mix of relief and admiration, but she also felt fear, for the twist revealed something deeper, something they had not yet faced. The shadow resolved into a creature, unlike anything Mara had ever imagined, its body glowing with a mixture of colors, and eyes that seemed to look into her very thoughts. It spoke not with words but with a feeling, a presence that filled the canyon, making Mara shiver. "You have proven clever and brave," the message came to her mind. "Yet the true test has just begun." The hunters stared in disbelief, their arrogance shattered, and Mara realized that all the whispers, all the schemes, had been part of a lesson orchestrated by something far older and wiser than they had known. The forbidden whisper, Lira's words about being tastier, had been the key to this challenge. The thread that revealed courage, loyalty, and cleverness. Mara stepped closer to Lira, gripping her sister's hand tightly. "So, this was the plan all along?" she whispered. The shadow creature seemed to smile, a shimmer of light pulsing in agreement. Lira nodded, her eyes reflecting both pride and worry. "Yes, Mara, but we are not finished. The hunters have learned humility, but the real threat waits." The hunters, now humbled and frightened, lowered their weapons, understanding they had been part of a game far beyond their comprehension. Mara could see fear in their eyes, but also something else, a spark of understanding, the first lesson of many. Then, from deep within the forest, a low rumble echoed, the ground shaking slightly. Mara's heart skipped. Realizing that the twist was far from over, the shadow pulsed once more as if warning them, and Mara knew instinctively that the next adventure, the next danger, and the next secret were already moving toward them. Lira tightened her grip on Mara's hand, whispering softly, "Whatever comes next, we face it together no matter what." Mara nodded, feeling a surge of courage, her fear mingling with determination. She had followed her sister, questioned her, and now she understood the depth of Lyra's wisdom and cunning. The forest seemed to exhale, glowing softly under the twin moons, the hunters retreating in silence, the shadow watching patiently. Mara and Lira knew that the forbidden whisper had changed everything, that every secret, every scheme had led to this moment, and that the real adventure was only beginning. As they walked toward the forest edge, Mara glanced at Lira and whispered, "Next time, we might have to outsmart even you." Lira laughed softly, a sound full of warmth and danger. "Perhaps, Mara, but we'll be ready." The glowing canyon faded behind them, leaving only echoes of the dangerous game, the whispered secrets and the knowledge that in this galaxy, cleverness and courage were the greatest weapons of all. And somewhere deep in the forest, hidden beyond sight, a new challenge stirred, waiting for the sisters, waiting for the hunters, waiting for the next forbidden whisper to ignite a story yet untold.